Hey guys, Ronin Reaper here, so, yep, you know the drill. I'm outside the cinema. Yep, another rare Saturday cinema trip. I'm about to head in and see Anyone But You, catching a screening of the Valentine's Encore edition with the was it 4 minutes of extra footage. Haven't seen the film yet, so obviously this is as good an opportunity as any to catch it. You know, it's been doing very well since its, release at Christmas, still showing it, so yeah. Hopefully, this is just, a decent, fun little raunchy romantic comedy. Obviously, I will be watching it for the plot. So I'm gonna head in, get my snacks, get my seat, and go see Anyone But You. So yeah, I've got my popcorn here in a red frozen Fanta Valentine's colours, ready to watch my birthday weekend movie of choice. So yeah, back from seeing Anyone But You. Obviously, going into this, I wasn't expecting too much from it or anything. I was sort of very much expecting the type of film that very much does what it says on the tin. So obviously, I was not expecting an amazing film. I went in with fairly modest expectations, especially thanks to the marketing, which I think we can all agree the trailers for this really were not the best. But I gave it a go anyway, because you know, it's a raunchy rated R rom-com starring two attractive leads, and so I think that's enough of a selling point for this kind of film. And obviously, this has been playing very well since its release at Christmas. It's still going strong in cinemas, so obviously I have to check out for myself, see if really is the current crowd pleaser of the moment. Well, that and Wonka and Beekeeper. But is this a fun, raunchy rom-com? Let's find out. So, in the film, we meet Bee and Ben, who, after an amazing first date, end up coming to hate each other the morning after. And so, the two end up being invited to a destination wedding in Australia, where everyone in attendance, including the soon to be wed couple, attempt to force them to get along so as to not disrupt the peace of the event. However, soon enough, the two of them decide to, in order to achieve their own ends, they do what any mature adult would do: pretend to be a couple. So, yeah, like, obviously, I was not expecting an amazing film from this or anything, but I went in expecting hopefully to be entertained by it, and I gotta say, yeah, I was. I was really pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this. In fact, this was a very enjoyable, very entertaining watch. Definitely worth your time if you haven't seen it yet. It's, well, Valentine's is coming up, so definitely a potentially good date night pick. And yeah, I mean, for one, I have to get the obvious out of the way. Like, that's pretty, like, even from just like the slightest glimpse at the official synopsis, like, you know exactly how this is playing out. Like, there's not a whole lot of surprises to its plot, but the journey to get to these, fairly obvious conclusions are super enjoyable to watch, and it's a film that is consistently a very entertaining watch, and actually did leave me with a bit of a smile on my face. I came out of this film very good, and yeah, it's a very fun film, and obviously it is carried along very nicely by the chemistry between Sydney Sweeney and Glen Powell. Now, obviously, at times Sweeney's line delivery can come up off a bit like she's just reading the dialogue for the first time as they're filming the scene. But saying that, Glen Powell is immensely charismatic, a real winning screen presence. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in Richard Linklater's Hitman. Been hearing a lot of good things about him in that. And but it's through like obviously his winning charisma and Sydney Sweeney's fairly charming screen presence. They both have very easy chemistry that, does paper over some of the cracks in regards to iffy line deliveries, and it carries the film very satisfyingly along through its fairly familiar plot. And it helps as well that, obviously in this sexless era of movies, it feels real refreshing that we've got a film like this, which isn't afraid to be raunchy. Like obviously we've got some nudie bits in there, which will both satisfy the men and the women in the audience. There's also some fun jokes that aren't afraid to be crude, but not in a sort of like unnecessarily vulgar way. Like it's crude in the sense that they have a bit of edge to them, and they're sort of joking, kind of childish things, but it doesn't push itself over the line. But it strikes a perfect balance between the crudeness and some of the broader gags. There are some fun little slapstick moments, and it's also carried along by a fairly funny supporting cast. Like we've got the always reliable Dermot Mulroney in there. He's very entertaining, and we have a hilarious scene-stealing turn from Brian Brown as this guy who is, sort of has very dated views in regards to like relationships and dating, and he delivers consistently some of the film's biggest laughs. He is really, really funny. In fact, I was actually chuckling a fair amount through this film. Like there are some actually very funny moments in here, such as Glen Powell finding a spider in amongst his swimming trunks when he, in reaction, he strips off. Very funny scene. And there's even some very funny moments out of the sheer spite that Ben and B are feel towards each other. They hate fucking, and ironically their chemistry does is easy enough that you can buy into it. But for all the funny jokes and consistent chuckles and attractive bodies on display, like there's also a fair amount of heart. Like it strikes a perfect balance between being raunchy and vulgar and crude and whatnot, but also having some sweet, like sincere, emotional moments, sort of sprinkled just enough throughout that it never feels like sickeningly sweet or anything. It's just sweet enough that you can buy into the sincerity of it all, and it's also a fairly well made film. The cinematography looks great. You've got the naturally gorgeous Australian locales, and obviously they are captured in all their beauty. There's a fairly fun soundtrack. Particularly that really funny end credits sing along, absolutely genius, and it's just overall a really good time. I will say though, it does sort of take a bit to find its footing. Like it's really once the actual plot mechanisms of getting the characters to Australia sort of move into motion that the film does settle into its groove in regards to its laughs and its story. But even then, the opening moments do sort of do a good job of putting the pieces into place so that you are invested later on down the line. And Yeah, the overall, I yeah, I enjoyed Anyone But You. It was a pleasant surprise. Obviously, this is not some like amazingly or original piece of filmmaking or anything. It's definitely not going to be taking home any Oscars, but it's a film that very much does what it sets out to do, does it very well, and carries itself along real nicely thanks to the very easy and very believable chemistry between its two leads. Yeah, it's a very entertaining watch overall, and yeah, I'm going to give Anyone But You a 7 out of 10. Now, obviously, the release I saw was the Valentine's Encore edition. This has 4 extra minutes of footage. You've got a short little introduction from Sydney Sweeney and Glen Powell, and stay in your seats for the credits because at the very end there is a few-minute blooper reel, which is definitely funny and does get it provide a few extra laughs. Yeah, I'd say if you haven't seen the film, or if you have seen the film and you do kind of want to see all the extras, definitely do check this release out, especially since it's clear that they had a lot of fun making it, as evident by the bloopers, and that shines through nicely on screen. And yeah, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Anyone But You? What do you think of it? What did you make of the dynamic between Sydney Sweeney and Glen Powell? And would you like to see more rom-coms like this make their way to cinemas in the near future? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.